Yesterday it was an important meeting at the end of this year in which we had this task force, political task force occasion and discussion. The task force is twice a year. We meet and we take the key points, key issues, and we discuss them. So when there are some problems, when we have decisions to take, we look if there are, some questions about delays, evaluation, financial questions. So this was the case, and we had special points. Special points were about Kaunas node and Riga station, which are for the moment two complex, difficult topics for the Rail Baltica, but critical issues because, of course, the efficiency of this platform and nodes and the multimodal capacities are really, really important. And that's why we wanted to see how we can manage the some evolution of the grant agreement, which was decided with the Agency for Realization of Infrastructure Project, INEA. And INEA was represented, the Commission was represented, and as coordinator, I had the co-presidency for this meeting with the representative of the Minister of Transport of Latvia. So these were the key issues. We had also a discussion on infrastructure management, one step, because it will be a long discussion through next year. So we began to have an exchange and to see what methodology we will have to go to a decision. At the end of the year, and we looked also at what stage we are in Poland for the cross-border infrastructure between Lithuania and Poland, and we know some very good news. Poland is coming to the border. And this is really really important, and we have the result now of their main results of the analysis, and we know that they will have a better speed and a better capacity for this infrastructure. So this is very good because we will be in continuity for the Rail Baltica. So they have a good cooperation with the joint venture, good cooperation with Lithuanian company. And vice versa, for the Lithuanian company, they also move with the solution on Kaunas node to finalize, the connection. So the hot topics for the intermodal platforms and the main cross-border issues are on the good way, positive way.
Do you see also some problems?
Of course, the problems are always the cost, but this will be in continuity. The cost is a constant issue. So we look, but it's quite positive for the moment with the budget of the connecting, facility, because at the situation today, it's quite positive for transport. We have the amount we milited for, and we have also the military mobility envelope. So we know that for the Rail Baltica, it can give and keep the priority between other prior, infrastructure projects. It's one of the main, European project for financial support, and we stick on the 85% proportion for cohesion funds. So this was one of the hot topic also for the Baltic countries, because they are not so big countries, and the national budget cannot be extended so much. So, it's this balance of the effort is a critical issue. So this is quite positive in the moment. I'm very glad that we have such a team of the Friends of Rail Baltic in the European Parliament, because they are very efficient, mobilized, and helpful. So this is really good, and also a good understanding of the partners in Europe for this priority for the Rail Baltica. So this is, for the moment, good conditions. Of course, it depends on the next elections, but we hope that we'll be, we could go through the first step of discussion with good results, and we hope that they will be maintained. So this is also a good way to finish the year with a big effort in the discussion on the budget, European budget. And you know the context with the Brexit, it's not so easy. But Rail Baltica is strategic for economy, for the balance between western and eastern part of Europe, and also for geostrategic reasons. So I think all the parameters are present to support it.
Yeah.
Is there any clarity about the RB Rail financing on their own side?
Exactly, you are right to raise the question. There are two main issues for me as coordinator. One is the delays. We have always, when we have such a big project, we take in consideration the risk of delays. But you know, if we take delays at the beginning, we have less margin of maneuver. So still today, we maintain the timetable to finish in 2026. So this is the objective, and this is written in the implementing decision, and in the implementing decision which was decided between the Commission and the Member States. For the first time, it was done for an infrastructure project with the Rail Baltica. All these steps are written, so we know the roadmap, and everyone must stick on the obligations and duty. So this is very positive. And one point on which I insisted was, okay, for modification in the grant agreements to be in a better, adaptation to the new context when we have the technical parameters, but with the condition is that the joint venture can have the staff and the budget. So this must be concretely designed at the beginning of the next year, and for the total period, because we need to see provision for the duty they have. So this is a condition for me of credibility of the project, and of course for the success of the project. So, but this is well understood. I think it will be the case, but there is different situations, and of course in Latvia today, in the composition of the government, we have a moment in which some decisions cannot be taken. So we understand that. So, but that's why I spoke about the beginning of the next year, because it's very, very important that we cannot lose time, because losing time is losing money in such projects. So if the joint venture doesn't have enough money, enough budget for their tasks, we will take more delays. So this will be a pity. So that's why I'm very concerned. But of course, if I can say very clearly and transparently that this is one of my key issues, it's the case for all the projects. It's always difficult when you have such a new project which is so important, in a period in which the public money is not, like flows, coming like flows. So it's we must be just on the figures and just on time for using the money.
If there will be some problems with this financing of RB Rail, does that mean that for example, project can receive money from Connecting Europe facility or some other funds?
There is, first I must say that the supervisory board expressed the agreement on the staff, on the number of collaborators. This was a very big step. Second, they agree on the budget. So this is very important too. So now we have still this agreement from all the member states to give to the national parts. So this is important also for the balance between implementing bodies, national implementing bodies, beneficiaries, and the joint venture. But the joint venture does not stop the work. And the joint venture is preparing, global proposal to organize the adaptation of the grant agreement to the reality of the new parameters and new design of the lines, which is decided now for the three Baltic. So this is important. Joint venture is the interlocutor of the INEA, the agency, and they work together in good conditions, I can say. And this will be done. This will be discussed next year and will be decided.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How is the Rail Baltic project moving after Mrs. Rubeza is stepping down from her position? Because she mentioned a lot of risks also.
Yes, she mentioned a lot of risks. Some of the risks are under the responsibility of the control of the courts. And there are controls in the moment, so, we wait for the results. It's not my role I cannot go in, I'm not a controller, I'm a facilitator, So, but of course, we listen, the Commission and me, we listen to the alarm or the alerts of Baiba Rubesa, and I must say that Baiba Rubesa made a tremendous work to build efficient joint venture. She gave credibility to the project, and we have a so strong and solid basis that I'm very thankful to her because it was not so easy. At the beginning of such a project, you have so many difficulties to cross. She has also a strong character, So, but of course, this was very important. But I'm sure that we will have a good CEO to take the responsibility for the next period, and I'm very confident in the quality of the team. And I wanted to meet the joint venture, team before Christmas, because I want to thank them and to say my appreciation. Because, of course, it was a difficult period for this team. These are people who are, engaged professionally, but also personally in such a project. And as I was leader for some projects like that, I know what is the psychological and personal dimension. They don't hesitate to work more than normally or necessarily. So I want to pay tribute for that, because of course, if the project is going well, it's also due to the people who work on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you see some the more difficult points in Rail Baltica project now? For example, how is about this Riga station project? Is it really difficult, or is there some other points? I don't know, Kaunas or something else?
These points, Kaunas node and Riga station, are, at the menu of each meeting, if I can say. But now we will finish. We will finish because in such complex situation in cities in which you don't have so large space to use, so you need to be really, it's a tiny surface and with much more services to organize. So it's complicated, and they at first they thought, because it was before the Rail Baltica, to the station, but not with such precision with the connection to the Rail Baltica. Now we have the connection to Rail Baltica and the connection to the airport. So two new, if I can brackets, two parameters which are essential. So there had to be some, evolution of the project. And then a strategy which could be decided with a good with good conditions to realize. So financially and timely. So we are now, yesterday we had the presentation of the strategy of the Latvian authority, how they want to organize the works, to have the minimum problems for the railway station. And so we will discuss very precisely now on the schedule and the conditions to see also the cost. Because of course, the cost was a bit, will be a bit different if we want to have all the efficiency parameters respected. So, but this is going on.
How Rail Baltica project looked with in light of other TNT projects?
You know, I can say to you very frankly that sometimes some persons I know in other countries of Europe look with a bit of jealousy on the Rail Baltica. I said to my Baltic friends that they don't imagine some reproach I listen to, because they say this project is privileged. And, the Commission is really engaged in the realization of the Rail Baltica, because it's the only project of such an importance at the East, and we need to succeed. It's not just for Europe, European vision, it's for the Baltic countries. They must be connected to the rest of the network. And if we want to be really in the center of these new flows, Chinese, Russian neighborhood flows, this is the way to put the Baltic countries with Poland and Finland in the middle of the game. And when Finland is deciding to come in the joint venture as a partner, this is very good news too. So we listened yesterday the representative of Finland saying that the decision will be taken in April at least. So we know that Finland is coming in. So there is a fourth partner, and Poland is very much engaged. So it's really a chance now. And looking from an external point of view, it goes well. Looking internal point of view, we see the difficulties, So I am in the middle, in the balance between these two visions, and I'm still an ambassador with all the team of the joint venture, with Vera Kessler, my advisor, and the Commission. We try to explain the importance of this infrastructure and the profitability we will have on growth, on employments for young people, academies, for innovation, and in fact, it will boost, the economy of the Baltic countries.
Do you see that the main goal will be the cargo flows or passengers in this rail?
The interest of the Rail Baltica is that we immediately think to both passengers and freight. And there is also a reflection to see how these trains will transport trucks. So, the transfer from trucks from the road to the rail. So this is also very important in the way we organize the terminals in ports or in dry terminals, because in fact we need to have all the possibilities, because it will be the efficiency of the platforms, logistic platforms, which will give the green signal for investors to come. So this will be the case. So we know that the freight will be very important, and also because we want to extend the corridor and the Scandinavian one to the end of the Botnian Gulf, to have capacities to transport materials from the north by train. So this will be also very positive for freight. But of course, for passengers, this must be, a way to connect people. And this, for me, is an experience, because I militated for years for, have a better connection between European countries through high-speed trains. And I see the results, It's always very difficult to build cross-border infrastructures like that, because each country have national interests. So this is the main difficulty, to make the combination of the three visions, national visions, and having the common vision, common interest. But this will be done by the people. When they see that they diminish, by half percent, 50%, the time of going to Riga, to Tallinn, and so on, they will use it. Of course, it's the service which creates the demand. But the demand exists, of course. And this will be an advantage for passengers, for tourism, for business, but not only for business, because we will work with the new period in this new next year and then the next years also, to see how the regional traffic will feed, the high-speed train, and how the high-speed train will feed also the regional traffic, because we have two periods of work and criteria. One is the backbone. It is the core network with the Rail Baltica. But the Rail Baltica is in continuity, if I can say, with all the line until the west in Germany and Netherlands and Belgium. So this will be the case. And of course, we need to have this connection with the interconnection with the regional region. And this is very important for the populations. We had discussions in Estonia, in Latvia, in Lithuania. In Lithuania, we have to connect Vilnius. So this is also a key issue, of course, because Vilnius connection, Kaunas-Vilnius, is part of the corridor and of the line. So we need to realize it. It's a bit longer. Because it's not a cross-border part. The cross-border parts are have the priority on the national parts. So the national parts are coming a bit later, but in the same period. So we will be ready also with Vilnius at the end of the period of the planning.
How you evaluate the cooperation between Baltic states? Because we by ourselves sometimes have a impression that it could be more better than it is.
It can be always better, because sometimes I'm very astonished because I see, the joint agreement, the implementing decision, declarations of the prime ministers, and there is a real will to cooperate. But there are differences. But I said to them, okay, I'm from a border region between France and Germany. And you see what work we did. And we have still differences. So it's, it's a cultural aspect, but this is also a chance in Europe. For me, it's a part, it creates difficulties, sometimes delays, but it's a part of our reality. We support diversity, linguistic diversity. We are attached to our traditions, to our heritage, to our vision of innovation, and so on. So we can be able to understand what must be done together, but we always need also to be reassured that we can be ourselves. And in this period, especially because people are afraid of what can happen with the climate change. So I can say that one of the biggest issues is also that. The work on the impact of the climate change in all the region of the corridor, and especially in some zones, in Baltic, Polish regions, in north of Germany. We have some in Belgium. We have some places all along the corridors, and so it's the environment is also something which is very delicate. So this is not an easy point, because sometimes it was at the beginning understood as a sort of argument not to do. But now everyone is obliged to consider that it's difficult for all the countries. So, okay, everyone is at the same place, if I can say. So we need to have a strategy on that. And the joint venture is working well on the impacts, environmental impacts, and the sustainable way we can prepare and realize the infrastructure. And I hope this will be a model. And I think this is a common point between the Baltic states. In digitalization, there are champions in the way they see new mobility also, and in environmental. Because when I look in Europe, you know, it's much easier for me to support projects for alternative fuels. They work a lot also on safety on roads. So, you know, I know that it's a chance to work with such people, you know. So if there are some difficulties, I cannot say this is the only way to see the situation. It's a part of the situation. But as I said to them, optimism must be built. It's not a gift at the beginning, you know. So I can verify with the Baltic countries that it's the case.
Are there any events, things in European Union that could influence financing of this project?
Of course, the budget discussion is always very touchy and difficult. With the Brexit, we know that, but the budget was discussed in the context of the Brexit. So this is not a new thing, if I can say. So it was dimensioned with the situation of the of UK going out. It will be different if UK you know, wants to stay, but we don't know what will happen. We know the cost, we will pay for it, as the main cost will be for the British people. It's, for me, in my vision, European vision, an undue cost, you know, because we could see differently this situation, but the people voted. And the new parliament, perhaps, a different parliament with more Euroscepticism can change the financial aspect. So this will be a political issue. But that's why we must be prepared the maximum we can and engaged. That's why the next year is very important, because beginning the realization, you cannot just say, we stop or we come back. No way. So that's why it is so important that the Baltic countries can work together with Poland, Finland, can show their strong, participation on that, and will and political will to go until the realization. So the Commission is ready, as I said, and the support is through all the countries of the corridor: Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Poland, as I said, so we know. And we have one country more wanting to be connected to the corridor is Luxembourg. So, it's interesting to see that this corridor is, attractive. So I think we extend also the group of supporters.
And for the next time you're meeting up with RB Rail team, do they have any specific tasks that they have to do till that time, or just follow the plan?
You know, they know what they have to do. It's a lot. It is to come, when the technical parameters are decided, now it's to go to the design. It was a long discussion on the design guidelines, but now we have decisions on that, so they can implement and go on. So this is an exciting period, because it's a period in which, with the acquisition of land, this will become real, more and more, with the construction of bridge. With in Estonia, they will begin also. So next year, people will look beginning of reality of this infrastructure. You know, when you speak about a project, it's something in the air, but when it comes directly on your territory, you think, okay, now it's the moment. Then the problems, because of course the works will be big in cities and around, but it will be an exciting period. So that's what I will say to the collaborators of the joint venture: be strong and be engaged and in continuity, and we will succeed, I'm sure.